Hi everybody, it's Sam, NFTstatistics, and this is your Proof Daily NFT Countdown. Gonna get right into it. It's been a brutal couple of days when it comes to price movements on a lot of the larger NFT projects, but there are good things happening under the surface. We also got a really cool Alpha Centauri kit auction happening right now, which is probably over by the time you see this. Some new announcements from exchanges, a couple art sales. Let's get right into it. Here we go. Quick market overview. Volumes were up a small bit. Most of the market share with Blur. That is nothing new. Prices really going down though. Large cap index down about 2 to 3% yesterday. A little bit of strength in Punchy Penguins. Had a big rally there that faded pretty quickly, but then serious weakness in Doodles, Azuki, Moonbirds, Bored Ape Yacht Club ecosystem. Big cap index down a small bit with weakness in VV checks and MFers. Just wanted to talk about a few of these projects and a bit of what I see happening under the surface here. First of all, Pudgy Penguins. Pudgy Penguins has held in there relatively well. Had a nice little rally yesterday when they announced that they did a seed funding round. Venture capital money coming in, raised $9 million. I believe they raised $9 million, or is a $9 million valuation? One of those two, they raised money though, led by 1KX. And you saw a pretty sharp rally in the project, went from about 4 to 4.8, something like that. And then someone came in and sold 21 in one go, and the price kind of fell back, gave back about half of the gains. My kind of view here is I was a little surprised that it rallied on this. Maybe it's because I have bought NFTs on the back of venture funding in the past, and it never seems to go well. Also, just because my timeline has very mixed views about venture funding and the benefits. I think especially for a project like Penguins, where so much of the appeal is that the royalty income, the royalty revenue goes to the Penguins, so bringing shareholders into the mix. Curious how that will all play out. Either way, this is clearly a project with a lot of positive momentum. The holders are very loyal. Luca, one of the best founders in the game right now. So nice to see they got a little bit of a raise on the back of that. Second project here is Azuki. Azuki just completely tumbled. We saw the floor price go from 15 and change down to, we've been seeing transactions at 13.2. So, a really big move in the scheme of things. What's my take on what actually happened here? One of the things I talk about is how when we get these big rallies like we got on the back of Blend, and generally when it's incentivized bidders who tend to mainly be traders and not have long time horizons, you end up seeing a lot of longer term, more patient holders dump when they get that price rally. What this chart here looks at is the number of NFTs that hadn't been sold for 2 months or more that were sold on any day. And that first arrow I'm pointing to shows that in the couple days around the Blend pump, you saw 150 to 200 new Azukis that hadn't traded get dumped into bids. And then just 2 days ago, we saw another 80 Azukis get dumped into bids. It is very hard for the airdrop farmers to find real buyers to offset that. So it just creates a lot of weight on the project. After Blend, we saw kind of a slow and steady move lower. But then when someone came in and dumped another 60 a night ago, you really just started to see mass people really dumping into bids, and the prices went lower and lower. I think that's broadly what happened. What this chart here looks at is the number of NFTs in a project that were dumped into bids, just unique NFTs. So if one happened more than once, this would only count up once. But you can see that yesterday, more Azukis were dumped into bids than any other day, basically since incentivized bidding or since bidding in general began on Blur. So overall, just too much supply in the hands of people who don't want to hold these NFTs long term. The other thing that happened was Mutant Ape Yacht Club and Bored Ape Yacht Club completely fell in conjunction. Mutant Ape Yacht Club, went to below 10 ETH. Bored Ape Yacht Club, the bids were below 40 ETH for a little while. So some serious weakness. What you can see in these three charts here is that the price kind of patterns actually look quite similar in terms of the down move, then really kind of having an exaggerated down move yesterday. And I think what's happening is if you look at the people, because the airdrop farmers, the people who are bidding and really kind of holding the market up right now, they want points as opposed to specific projects. The airdrop farmers own a little bit of every single NFT. So if you start seeing people pull back bids in Azuki, they're going to start pulling back bids where the risk is on other projects as well. So Bored Ape Yacht Club, Mutant Ape Yacht Club, both had a lot of weakness. What this chart looks at is the biggest NFT buyers in May thus far. And you can see that pretty much all of them, have their risk spread across Azuki, Mutant Ape Yacht Club, Bored Ape Yacht Club, at least 2 of those 3. So when they go up and down, there tends to be a bit of unison because these are the players that move the market in either direction. One other situation I wanted to mention is Doodles. I've talked in the past about how there is a trader, a market maker, an airdrop farmer who got very long doodles, and kept bidding for more and more. And what's happened since then is that the bids have completely fallen away. The floor, has gone to 2.3 ETH. But what's concerning is that this farmer, this whale, is long nearly 400 of them. That's what this blue line looks at. You can see on the right side here how big his position has gotten. He continues to bid, but if you look at his history, kind of back in February, March, when he normally gets long positions, he tends to dump those positions. He just hasn't had the opportunity here. So this is the same person who dumped a ton of beans, dumped a ton of OPEPE in. So I don't think this is a long-term holder, and it is a bit concerning. The other concern is that it is a similar situation in Clone X, over 400 Clone X's that he's amassed. He's the only bidder on both projects. So just kind of feels like an ominous situation in a lot of different projects, but it's not all bad. It's not all bad. There are some projects that are pumping. Captains continues to do pretty well. Milady's doing well, and Redacted Remilio, kind of the child of Milady. A lot of these players, I think, were involved in PEPE, made a lot of money on that. There's a lot of money in this ecosystem. They have positive momentum. This shows kind of the median price per day. Yesterday got up to 1.1. The floor right now is 1.35. So at least there are some glimmers of hope, some signs that not everything's lost. And Redacted Remilio are doing decently well. Let's talk about our projects. Let's go. There weren't a ton that did a ton of volume. Chromie Squiggles had another 5 trade days. That's 5 trade days in a row. Let's look at a couple of the bigger sales. This ribbed Chromie Squiggle sold for 9.02 ETH. Pretty cool looking squiggle again. I like that one. Nice to see that sale. This Protoglyph, one of the grails from Proof. It's an edition made by Larva Labs, kind of in conjunction or before they made the Autoglyph project. Sold for 7.97 ETH. This one in the lower left is a Life in West America by Rope Renisto, down to 2.9 ETH. That's a project that has been pretty heavy. When people want liquidity, those prices have trended lower and lower. And then Decoherence by Pinder Van Armen. This was the drop that he did in conjunction with the Super Genesis Pass. Saw a sale there for 2.8 ETH. Second story to talk about, Alpha Centauri Kid Broken Keys, this piano project that he's had in the works for many months, had their launch yesterday. The auctions are finalizing today. This is the tweet from Alpha Centauri Kid, said pianos.ack.art. Choose your keys wisely with this image there. And what is it? I mean, there are 48 one-of-one unique piano images, and the only underlying theme that unites them all is the piano. I put this tweet here, and this tweet here is on one that I actually showed on my show in January. So this is from about 4 months ago, where he was talking about the great color study, but then said, right now I am working on this piano project, piano season in full effect. So this is something he has been hinting at for 4 to 5 longer months, a project that's really been a long time in the making. Manifold tweeted out something about it, saying the Broken Keys by Alpha Centauri Kid uncovered the muse in a mesmerizing merger of visual art and music. So it looks like their site was worked in conjunction with Manifold. And what is it? It is 48 unique NFTs. Okay, and here are 12 of them that each has their own individual auction. And right now the prices range from 2 ETH, where the top bid is, to 15 ETH. Go to this site. It is really cool art. Each piece is just tremendously unique. This is the one right here that has the 15 ETH bid, this yellow piece with the flowers around the piano. But overall, just exciting to see a project that's getting some good traction. My takeaways here are, one, I think that ACK did a great job building anticipation. He brought people along for the ride. I think right now there's concern that, someone's just making something quickly and sending it out. Well, this guy, ACK has been working on this publicly for 4 to 6 months. So we know this is something that had just a ton of work that went into it. He went out to work radio, he went out to Spaces, so really tried to make the story well known. There's also rumors, I heard this from Tyler over at Lucky Trader, there's rumors of some sort of group council forming for the owners, kind of similar, modeling after what's happened with Sam's Brass Skulls. Always hard to replicate something that's that successful, but seems like an interesting project and just very cool stuff. Third story to talk about, OpenSea adds PEPE and Blur adds mobile bidding. Here is the tweet from OpenSea, says NFTs are dead. Wait until frogs learn how to collect NFTs with PEPE. Check it out on OpenSea. You can see here that you can now buy using PEPE token. My takeaway here, I think it's kind of interesting. I think OpenSea is learning, guys, we got to stay on top of the latest metas. We got to be agile, active, do interesting stuff, because Blur is doing it. Blur is doing it, and we're getting crushed because of it. So I think you're seeing more and more of OpenSea just trying to be a bit more nimble here, Do I think this moves the needle? Not really. I mean, you can pay for NFTs in USDC, like you can pay for Bored Apes and ApeCoin, and none of that really ever gained traction. But still, I think it's nice to see OpenSea kind of on the front foot here. Blur's announcement, they announced that you can do bidding on mobile. Love to see that. I'll be honest though, okay? And you can tell me in the comments if you have any tips. I can't figure out how to get my Blur connected with my MetaMask on my phone. So for some reason, it is not working for me. I'm trying to do it. I love to check prices on my phone. It's hard. But, for those of you who can do it, you can now do bidding. It's probably because I'm 41 years old and just not that good at some of this tech stuff. Last thing to talk about, let's talk about a few notable sales. This top hat CryptoPunk sold for 190 ETH. When there's a big sale in the art world, it is often curated doing the buying. And today, it was curated doing the buying. They bought this from D's. Now, what I thought was kind of interesting is this is the first sale above 100 ETH in the past week. Okay, and if you look at all of kind of going all the way back a year, you've never had this few sales above 100 ETH over the course of a week. So just another metric that shows just how weak things have gotten. You can hardly even see the single trade here because that bar is so small. Next trade to talk about, gold for Kennel, or a Bored Ape Kennel Club, a gold for doggo sold for 8.3 WETH. Now, this kind of struck me because, quite recently the Bored Ape Kennel Club floor was at 8 or 9 ETH, and now we're already seeing gold, the most grail NFT in this collection, selling for 8.3 WETH. That kind of surprised me. I looked at the most recent sales, and we did have another one at 7.8 ETH. I just missed that one. But broadly speaking, the most recent sales happened in the double digits aside from this one. But, this is just what's happening right now. Floor prices are getting absolutely crushed, and grail premiums are going down as well. So hate to see it, but it's happening. So let's talk about it. Couple one-on-one sales to talk about. This Teardrop by Kaido, this piece Teardrop, sold for 11 ETH. Really cool piece, kind of as a browser. It's just worth looking into. There's a lot going on with this piece. I dug into Jack Kaido's work, and most of his work has a very different look and feel. As you can see from these images, all of these sold in the double digits. So, this piece, 11 ETH at the lower end of the range, nothing unusual versus what we've seen recently. But yeah, it's kind of a very familiar look and feel for the other pieces, whereas this one diverges from that. A little bit about Jack Kaido. It is a pseudonym. He is a digital abstract painter whose art explores the abstract image through digitally native works that aim to reflect the medium and their time. Seems like someone who really grabs from a lot of inspirations, but is really trying to push forward this idea of online generative painting as a medium. So cool to see that. Congrats to him on this sale. And this one was super interesting. This piece sold for 5.34 ETH. It's called The Trials of the Human Experience by Viulet. I dug into this artist. I hadn't heard of him before, but he is a very well-known artist apparently in Latin America. It says here that in just 2 years, he's become the most followed photographer in Latin America and the most interacted with photographer in social media history. That's from his website. I'm not saying it's true. I didn't validate it, but that's what his website says. I did go and check out his Instagram, and he has 1 million followers, does some really interesting things. You can see on his Twitter here, he works with models and actors to create some really interesting images, similar to the one that sold today, that really always have a message. He has a story that he writes in the description. So fun to check that out. I'd recommend having a look at it. Very cool work and very cool artist to get to know a little bit more about. That is all from me today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Give us a like if you did. Give us a comment if you got something to say, or if you just want to say hi, give us a comment. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet, and we'll be back tomorrow and every weekday with another show. Have a great day.